Okay, let's check it out. Things are about to start. Let's hope that everything is quite all right. I'm just going to do a few changes here. My phone. Look at my phone here. This. But there's a little bump in the laptop. Okay. Waiting for the MGM line to come up. Welcome to Universal Studios. Yeah. Okay, this is good. Seems to be quite nice. So that's all right here. And everything seems to be quite cool. So everybody in the chat room, hello. Hello, hello. Nice to, yeah, the cat instead of a lion is going to be a cat. So hello everybody in the chat. Nice to have you on board as usual. I'm getting used to this interaction with the chat room. It's actually fun. At least what I like with the chat room is that you have to have a Gmail account to actually post there. So without one, you can't really troll me. And if you do want to troll me, well, some of you will block it or I'll block it. And the only way to come back is to create a new one, which is so annoying that basically it's not too bad. So, hey everyone, welcome to my live show. Another one. I didn't have that many questions this week, but what I did is I actually went through some of the questions I have on YouTube videos that I thought everybody would find interesting. So there are a few fillings with that. Also, I want to talk a little bit about a few things. We have a few interesting items, including one from Mary Ellen Parker that is a little scared of her safety of your Microsoft account, and I'll be talking about that a little later. So we're, of course, going to check all of that out. So welcome, everybody. This is Live Tech Show number 53. We are Tuesday, November 15th, 2016. And, of course, most of the questions I will answer are helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. But when we run out of questions, well, we might go and check out a few of the questions through the chat room. So, hey everyone, it's nice to have everybody here. We're having some unusually warm weather. I mean, it's like about 15 today. It was 15 yesterday, 15 Celsius. That's, like 60s, and we're supposed to be like close to having snow. So it is kind of, weird weather. I think that we're gonna have some nice weather, and it's not too bad. Okay, of course, donations. If you want to help me in any way, you can send me donations. You could be a patron, going to patreon.com/radioandcomputers, and you'll be helping also Mr. the Cat here. That is actually always, for some reason, when I start talking, he just likes coming over and, just saying hi. So this is Paul the Cat saying hello to everybody. So hope everybody enjoys. So patreon.com/radioandcomputers. You can pledge as much as you want, and there's no catch. You can leave us when you want. Also, a one-time donation can be sent to the PayPal email that you see here. Of course, all donations are welcome, and they help me continue with these shows and, of course, improving upon all of these. So thank you for all of those that have already given a little something. And for those that can't, don't worry. I do understand. Not everybody can do it. So I hope that we continue for a long time to come. Questions, of course. First, I want to just go to the email for last week. I kind of somehow jumped over a little bit of the questions, and I don't know, for some reason. First of all, I want to answer Ismail Massa that sent me a email saying that he's got an issue connecting his Amazon Alexa to his Wi-Fi network, and he's tried different little things and it doesn't want to connect. So you know what, make sure that your router is and follow, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Wi-Fi basics also here. Make sure that you have a TP-Link router from what you see. So make sure that sometimes just unplugging, replugging the router, it could be just something like that. But sometimes on some devices, you might actually have to really, just erase everything and restart your settings of the Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi network name and your password for some reason. So because I haven't seen any much problems with the Amazon Alexa. It should work normally, so check it out and try to maybe just reset the router and have it, do all the settings again if you can. That might actually fix the issue, just doing that. And as for your Windows 10 computer, when it updated, it lost its Wi-Fi capabilities. It's a very common thing, by the way, in Windows 10. Because what's happening is that sometimes when you upgrade from version to version, say from the 1511 November update to the 1607 anniversary update, what's going to happen is that you will have an update of your Wi-Fi drivers. And sometimes that erases some or corrupts some of the settings of Windows 10. So that's one thing here. Apart from that, in Wi-Fi basics, I wanted to say, because some people ask me questions sometimes, and I think it's important to understand a little more. First of all, somebody asked me, that when he installed his router, of course, he created a secure Wi-Fi. So he put WPA2, and he also put a good password. And he says, if that's all right, if that's cool, why should I change the default passwords? He says that in this case, it's admin. He says if your network is secure, why would you do that? Change the username and password of the router itself. Several reasons. Somebody comes over and you give him the possibility to actually log into your router when you give him the password. Well, first of all, if he's good in tech a little bit, he'll know that there's a possibility that the username and password is admin, and maybe he could go and play with the settings. Another reason why changing the username and password is that we know there are some viruses that infect computers that actually can access your router and change the firewall settings in some models, because of the way that it works. So that's why changing username and password, especially the password. You know what? The username is it's okay even if you don't change it. The password is the issue that you should change. I think that's very important. And another thing is that somebody has asked me, a tech guy went over to his place, he installed the Wi-Fi router, he gave him the password for the Wi-Fi, but he did not give him any information about the password to log into the router. And now he wants to make some changes, which he can't because he can't access. So, of course, one of the things you need to know is that when a tech guy comes to your home and installs your router, I do this all the time. You need to do this. You need to have the tech guy write down on a piece of paper all the information of your router. You know, some people don't ask, and I say, look, it's your router. I don't care if the guy is a tech guy. He needs to give you that information. It's your router. It's your right. You know, I always do a nice little sheet of paper. I put the router's username and password. I put the SSID or the network name and the Wi-Fi password and everything so that people know what it is. Now, if you don't have that and you want to change, well, if you're, what you could do is reset your router. By resetting completely your router, it's going to come back to its default, which, like I said, is often admin, basically. And basically, the admin, or whatever basic username and password is easy to find on the internet, depending on the model that you have, because it does have variants. There are some changes depending on the model you have, and you'll be able to just redo everything, and then you'll have the password. And anyone, if you have a tech guy coming over, please have the guy write all the information about the username and password. That's very, very important. Speed of file transfers in Wi-Fi versus Ethernet. This is a question from Mark. Mark says that he's transferring a few files that are gigabyte size. He wanted to do this without having to wire the internet everywhere in his home. But now he's finding that it's extremely slow through Wi-Fi, and he was wondering if there's something wrong. There isn't. Remember one thing, Wi-Fi is much slower than Ethernet. So you know what? If you have a gigabit router on the Ethernet ports, well, that gigabit router is typically anywhere from 10 to 100 times faster than the fastest Wi-Fi connection you'll have. And depending on the distance between the computers and the router, there's even some slowdown there. So yes, a gigabyte file through Wi-Fi might be very, very slow to transfer compared to Ethernet. If you transfer gigabyte files all the time, you know, put some wiring and use Ethernet. If you wish to use Wi-Fi, then upgrade your routers and make sure your PC it also has that. Make sure that you have the latest AC protocol that is much faster. So it's very, very important, because Wi-Fi is slow in file transfer. I can tell you that, and it's so slow that it is almost impossible when you have really, really big files to do it through Wi-Fi, basically. Okay, internet service provider questions. Internet service provider questions. And before we do that, I'm just going to answer quickly. Also, I forgot last week to answer a little message from Tommy, our friend Tommy, or Viper the Bookman. First of all, he has a little joke talking about how if I mute my cell or what, so my wife can't stop thinking about when the phone rings. It could be my wife or anything. It's like, don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. Pretty much everybody knows that you shouldn't call me in the middle of a live show, and everybody knows when my live shows are. But still, I usually what I do is I put my cell phone on vibration and I shut down the home's phone. In the home phone, I don't care, because nobody calls me on the home phone. Everybody that's important knows my cell phone. As for mentioning in my news bulletin about the fake security essentials that's running around, don't worry, you won't have that through the downloads of the Windows updates. It's something that is sometimes a pop-up. It's a little bit like those fake security software. You go to a website and there's this fake pop-up that says, "Oh, click here to update your security software. Click here. It's the same as, click here, your Flash player is outdated. Never click anything like that. So it's a pop-up that appears on some websites that says, hey, your security essentials needs to be updated. Never, never, never click anything like that. Security essentials updates itself through Windows Update. You never have to update it yourself. It should update by itself. And finally, about your issue concerning your downloads that sometimes get stuck to 0% and doesn't move, that's a very, very known issue of Windows Update. Don't worry about it. Even if an update is stuck for a day or two at 0%, leave it like that. You'll see that eventually it's going to go through. And I'm just going to take the cat because he wants to go to places I don't want him to go. And I don't want the show to stop right smack in the middle. So basically, it is something that happens regularly. And you know what? Sometimes I'll check for updates. Even checking for updates sometimes is a really long check. I remember when I checked for, even on the Insider Preview, when I check for a new Insider builds, it can search for an update for 10 minutes before it says, oh yeah, there's an Insider build. So, it's part of the things. Don't touch anything unless it never does updates. If you've missed, for example, if it jumps over like Patch Tuesday of last week, if you've not received Patch Tuesday of last week and it still says 0%, yeah, then okay, there might be some fixes, and I'll be checking out and maybe post some help video on that for sure, because it's interesting. It's a Windows Update has kind of a broken way of, it's weird. So internet service providers, that question comes to me from Francis, which is a regular contributor. Last week I started talking about internet service providers because Stephen Mail had a question about the speed of his DSL connection. And typically what I said is DSL is, of all the connections, the one that is very sensitive to the outside world, the noise that's in the wiring and everything. So that's why you often on DSL don't reach what is supposed to be on paper, and it's very, very, very complex here. You asked, first of all, what are the different types of connections? Well, the most popular, okay, because there are others, but the most popular is DSL versus cable and fiber, okay? These are the three, I'd say these three choices are 90% of all internet services. Now, there's other services. I've seen some service providers giving, there are still, it's very, very rare now, but there's things like WiMAX and stuff like that, which is over the air. Your modem actually receives a signal, a radio signal from a tower, like a cell tower, and you have internet through there. But for most people, the three choices are DSL, cable, and fiber. DSL uses the regular copper wires that the telephone lines use normally. So it is very sensitive to interference. It's sensitive to a lot of things. It is very difficult in distance. So the farther you are from the main station that sends out the DSL signal, the slower your internet speed will be. So that's probably one of the first ones that came out for a lot of phone companies. My first connection on the internet was the DSL connection, which is a digital subscriber line. And I remember when it started, it was 1 megabits. I remember being so happy and somewhere in 1998 to have 1 megabit per second. And that I was just, wow, so happy at 1 megabit per second. But now today, it's faster than that. But typically, if you really want to have a fast internet connection, often we'll go through cable or fiber, because the cable has an advantage over DSL. Yes, it's still a cable. It's still a copper wire, but it has a difference. It's shielded, meaning that that cable actually is harder to interfere with the signals that are in that cable, meaning you can send out much more data, much more compressed data, and still have in a good distance a pretty fast internet connection. Fiber is the winner of all, and it's actually still being rolled out everywhere. Here we are now. For example, here my connection is a hybrid connection. I have cable from my home to the corner street, which is about, I don't know, I'd say maybe 200 feet away. And from there, it's fiber up to the main station and the internet. So I have an extremely fast internet connection here, which doesn't vary that much. It's sometimes a little slow, slower than the 60 megabits per second I should have, but it generally is in the 45 to 60 megabits per second range. Fiber, of course, is the one that is least interfered with. It is, newer technology. It's being rolled out everywhere because it's one of the best ways to send out information at a very fast very fast speed. And others, there's different connections. Some that are some that were very expensive and still exist for remote places. Satellite internet, that thing is dreadfully expensive. You usually have to spend a lot of money on just the equipment. Then it costs like 2 or 3 times the price of a regular internet connection, and you'll typically have 1 or 2 megabits. You'll really be in a slow, fast internet. So it's high speed, but it's very slow compared to everything else. And it's typically more reserved to areas that don't have coverage of any of the first 3. So there are things like that that is happening. And there's future stuff. There's future stuff coming up that is interesting, like Facebook with its internet drones. And they've been having, gigabits per second speed there. So that is interesting. For remote location, it could be cool. Google also with its balloons that they want to launch. That would also give internet. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll have, hey, I can connect to the internet and have a Google account or some sort of account from Facebook and pay for internet there. But the thing is, a lot of the things that happen is that depending on where you live, you might not have a lot of choice on the different options. And the last question that you have is that you've sometimes gone over your data cap, your data limit on your internet connection, and you're wondering what uses the most data on the internet. That is something that a lot of people don't really know exactly what takes data, because a lot of companies say, oh, all your downloads. And so people sometimes think, oh, well, I don't download. Well, think of the internet that everything you click, everything you look at, everything you're watching this stream, for example, you're downloading data. It's automatic. You're downloading data. Everything you do on the internet is data. What uses the least data? Of course, if you just go on and view web pages, there's not a lot of data in there most of the time, and you rarely will have any cross data caps just surfing the web. But if you stream your radio stations, if you stream music, if you stream video, that takes a lot of data. So if you watch a lot of shows on the internet, you use some Netflix, stuff like that, that uses a lot of data. That is usually what makes people go over their data cap. Most of the time is the videos, because it does take a lot of data. Just to give you an idea, a typical 2-hour show that I would do sends out to the internet about 2.5 to 3 gigabytes of data. So that tells you that it's, a lot of data that you guys also receive. Virus and malware. Question coming from our friend William. And William wants to know, in the virus and malware, how do most people get infected? He says that he has not been infected ever. And he tends to be very careful on the internet. But he says that he has some of his friends or family members that actually got got some viruses or malware on the computers, and you're wondering how can this happen. So there are several ways where people get malware or viruses. In my experience with all the clients that I've seen that were infected, I'd say 70% of the people that have malware, they clicked on something that they shouldn't have clicked. A lot of people tend to think, oh, Windows is so easy to infect that, you don't, there's this, a lot of people seem to think that, hey, if I put my Windows computer on the internet without an antivirus, I'm going to get a virus in the next few hours, which is not true. You can actually have your Windows 7 or Windows 10 machine with no antivirus. And if all you do is, I don't know, go to your favorite news site and read news, you'll be like that for months and you will not get a virus. That's not how it works. It's not as easy as that. 99%, I would say, of viruses that get in are due to a lack of security at some point in the chain of commands. So you are not doing what it takes, or something's happening. A lot of people are in the impression that, well, it just did it. And it's true. Some clients of mine will say, hey, I got a virus and I didn't do anything. The problem is, you didn't do anything in another sense. You might have an outdated JavaScript or Java on your computer. You might not have ever updated Flash Player, or for a while at least, because never you'll get a message, but for a while you might not have updated your Flash Player. So it's a lack of doing something that is infecting you. Of course, unfortunately, it's lack of knowledge also, because people don't understand any of that. And that's the major issue here. A lot of people don't understand that, and it's very hard to, What I always try to say is, first of all, one of the ways you get infected, by never updating any software. So people sometimes, I don't see it as often, but for a long time, I heard people saying, I don't update my computer. People tell me that brings virus. No, it's the other way around. If you don't update your Windows machine, yes, then you'll get viruses. Just look at the last Patch Tuesday last week. It had 6 critical flaws. Critical means it's already exploited in the wild out there. That means there are web pages out on the internet that are right now just waiting for a computer that's not patched to go on the page and infect the computer. And yes, you will say, I got infected, but I didn't do anything. Yeah, you didn't do anything, but you didn't also make sure that there were some updates. Once again, for a lot of people don't know. When I tell everybody that I fix the computer, every second Tuesday of the month is Patch Tuesday. You should get updates. People are like, oh, really? Yeah, it is the second Tuesday of each month. People don't know things like that. And so sometimes, they don't go through, or they just don't install, or they don't, they have this stuck update and they don't do anything about it. So the computer can't install any other updates after that because it's still stuck on something. Unfortunately, they'll get infected. But 70%, I'd say 70% of the people that get infected, they download illegal music, movies, TV shows, software. Sorry, guys. A lot of them have that little site that is, I don't want to pay for Photoshop because it's $1,000. Yeah, I agree that it's expensive. I agree that it's way too expensive. But these are actions that, yeah, you can infect your computer by just trying to find something on the web free. So basically, that's what happens, and 70% of the time, that's what's happening. You have these people that download illegal stuff. That's a big chunk. Porn sites are a big chunk, but lately, gaming sites seem to be more of a problem even than porn sites. And why? Because they have these pop-ups of, oh, your computer is infected. Click here to install the latest tool to remove this virus from your computer. Yeah, by clicking, you're infected. If you didn't click, you would not be infected. So there are things like that, fake flash player, stuff like that, that still happens a lot. I see the fake flash player at least 2 or 3 times a month. It's one of the biggest ways that people get infected. Oh, to see this video of Donald Trump's wife nude, you need to download the latest player because yours is outdated. Yeah, well, you're infected now because you want to see things like that. So basically, that's the thing. So, Flash player is one of the biggest problems, and it doesn't need to be, it used to be something you'd install or update, but Flash player now is part of most browsers. You don't need to have it anymore. It updates itself in Edge or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome automatically, so you don't have to update Flash at all. The only browser that still needs a plugin, Flash plugin, is Firefox, and I don't understand why they haven't yet done like everybody else. But one thing that I'm really happy about is slowly Flash player is being pushed out, and hopefully soon it will not be there anymore, because it's not just a security problem, it's a major source of problems on computers also. And if you have Java installed, uninstall Java. Every version that you see in the programs. The only people that use Java now, some websites, there are some sites with games that sometimes want it, but you know what? For probably 90% of the people, Java is not required anymore. So remove Java. Java is a very, very high security risk also. And most people don't need it. I don't need it. I don't have it on my PCs, and I don't miss it at all. What are the dangers of staying infected? He says that one of his friends is infected and says, hey, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. There are several reasons why you need to fix that. First of all, having an infection on your PC can sometimes open up more infections, more viruses, more malware coming into your PC. If you are infected, if you do any transactions, banking, or with credit card, it's a major issue. You should really make sure that your computer is free of viruses. Other dangers is that a lot of them send themselves through email, so your friends are at risk. If you are instant messaging, if you have Skype, your friends are at risk. If you have Facebook, your friends are at risk. It can send out links that will have the virus download on machines. So, just stop thinking about your own little self. Think that you can do damage to your friends, your family, and they'll be in trouble now because you were in trouble because you're too idiot with your security. And finally, tools to remove viruses. You know what? One of the things that is good is, of course, I'm going to just, for a second, guys, Paul the cat wants to go outside, and I'm just going to open the door for poor kitty. It's a beautiful day, and I think he's going to want to go outside. So, as I was saying, there's Malwarebytes Anti-Malware. That is a great piece of software for removing malware, of course. So Malwarebytes. There's another one called just sorry here, guys. Okay, so Malwarebytes is a good one. There's one that seems to be a little better than it used before. Is to use Spybot Search and Destroy. It it used to be a big part of my tools. It faded out of my tools because I thought, for a while it wasn't very good, I thought. But it seems to be getting better again. So Spybot Search and Destroy is not bad at all. And sorry. So, there are these, another one is super anti-spyware that I've talked about on my channel. And by the way, I'm about to redo a series on some of the tools that people might need for infected computers. But, whatever you use, one of the major things that I got to say here, if you are infected with malware or viruses, there's one thing that you need to know is that maybe, and in some cases it's true, the only real way you'll ever be sure that viruses or malware is gone from your PC is by completely reformatting your PC or using the refresh in Windows 10 or in Windows 7, reinstall Windows 7 from scratch, erase everything, remove everything. And I think that is the only way that you're 100% sure that there's no more viruses. Some are stubborn and some are hidden in places that even the best virus and malware removal tools will not see them. So it might be that you just reinstall everything will be the best way. Okay, what do we have? We have, do you need Java to play Minecraft? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Sorry guys about my cough, but it's been a little bad lately. Okay, as for never install cracks or anything, I gotta say, cracks are the worst thing to have viruses. Some software have cracks and stuff like that. That's just waiting to install a virus on your PC. And you know what? That's stealing software, and stealing software is not cool at all. I'm going to say that. Okay, and the random questions that we have, there's Philip that says hello, and he's wondering about equivalent to some software here. So he says Microsoft Office. He says he needs to have something like Microsoft Office to do some work on some very basic Excel and Word documents. You know what? If you have basic stuff and you don't do a lot of it, why pay for Microsoft Office? Leave that to someone like me. I need the real stuff. But for most people, the real stuff is not at all what you need. You know what? Microsoft Office has a great alternative that's called LibreOffice. It's fantastically good. It will do everything you want. And for any Word or Excel documents that are of the basic format, it was going to work fine. And you're going to be able to do what you want. So LibreOffice, if I go to the use a browser here and go to the web page for LibreOffice. It's, I believe, LibreOffice.org, if I'm not. Yep, LibreOffice. So LibreOffice is, let's just go here, LibreOffice.org. Yep, official site. And this is what it looks like. Don't be fooled, you need to be on this page. LibreOffice.org. And you will have a great suite that has an equivalent of everything everything. It has an equivalent to Word, to Excel, to PowerPoint. It has a drawing program. It has an equivalent to Access. It's great. And you know what? It's free. Why pay for software? Yes, there is OpenOffice, but lately, because OpenOffice has not been updated in a long time because of lack of collaborators, more and more I think LibreOffice is a better choice now, because this one is updated regularly, and all the new stuff and all the new little add-ons exist on here, and OpenOffice is more and more left that behind. And yep, a lot of the guys that used to work on OpenOffice are working on LibreOffice now. So that's why it's pretty much the only one I will say. OpenOffice works fine, but because it's not updated, apparently there could be even some security flaws in OpenOffice. From what I've heard, LibreOffice is better. I think it's the one to use if you have to use one that is not Microsoft Office. And you know what? Most people don't need Microsoft Office. You don't have to, don't have to buy that. In Adobe Photoshop alternative, yes, there's a great alternative to the Adobe Photoshop one too. And it's called GIMP. GIMP. I put DIMP and it's GIMP. Let's do it again. GIMP. G-I-M-P. GIMP is at gimp.org. It is a very powerful Photoshop tool. So if you want to have something that you can actually really have most of the tools and the possibilities that Photoshop will give you, but for free, and GIMP, it's an open software like LibreOffice. It's really open software, free of charge, and it's great. Works really well. $0. And for most people, once again, this is enough. I don't see the need for Adobe Photoshop. It's way too expensive for what it is. And of course, the dangers of illegal software download and install. A lot of things. Not just that, downloading cracks can actually be dangerous, but also most of these software that you download cannot be updated. So with time, you will have some issues where there's going to be security flaws and your computer can be infected because of that. So just be careful, and the illegal software is not cool. You're better with open source software, free, that does the same job. At least it's something that is legal and has no issues. Okay, we'll continue on with Windows 10 questions. We have Zachary that asked me, well, okay. First of all, you're still on the 10.2.40 original Windows 10 version, as your computer never updated to any of the updates, including the 15.11 or 16.07 anniversary update. And you're wondering, it works fine, should I upgrade? Yes, you should, because 10.2.40 is not supported for updates. So you are right now with many security flaws, including all the critical flaws of last week, because you're not on a version that's updated. At least update to the 15.11 version, the November update of last year, because that one still has updates. But you need to fix that. You need to upgrade your version, because you are at risk on 10.2.40. He also says that his wife's computer is still on November 15.11 and still no anniversary update is showing up. There is still about 15% of the people that are not yet updated to the anniversary update. So there's a chance that maybe she's in that 15%. So be patient. at least you're still updated with updates and security updates. So it's not, an urgency to do so. And when it shows up, you'll be there. Don't force it, because from what I see is that pretty much everybody that has problems are the ones that forced it. Most people that did not force it are okay. And as for anniversary update problems, you're saying it seems to have a lot of problems. It doesn't actually. There's a lot of false information. 1607 actually works fine for 90% of the people and has no issues. But of course, several percent of people that have problems are the ones we see everywhere. So that's the thing. And of the people that have problems all the time, I'd say about 50%, 60% are the ones that forced it, and they wound up with problems. And as for those that did not force it, there's a small percentage, maybe I'd say, from the observations I have, 2-3% that have problems. On my side, you know what? I've been checking out the on my own clients that have updated to anniversary update. I've seen about since the month of August, I've seen about 50 clients that upgraded to anniversary update, and only one had a problem. The 49 other people had zero issues. So I'm still not in the anniversary updates causing problems. I'm not in that side. But that said, yes, there are people that have issues. That for sure. But I've got seven computers with the anniversary update. None of them has issues. And the only issue I had was with this PC. Not this one. The one that I had before was on this screen, and I had forced it. So if I had not forced it, maybe it would have been okay from the start, and it wasn't a big problem. I fixed it myself. But on 6 or 7 PCs here, all on anniversary update, I've got zero issues. So I don't know. But there are some problems that do want to that do have problems. That of course there are some problems that do some people that do have problems with the anniversary update. Like people had problems in 15.11. Like people had problems when Windows 7 jumped to Windows 10. There's always a small percentage, but most people that waited for it do not have problems. And most of what I've seen of pretty much everybody is that if you've waited and it updated by itself at some point, there's no issues. And to answer one question here about Carol that says, what happens if the anniversary update never shows up? Well, I would wait. I would wait for at least a couple of months until the beginning of the year. If really it doesn't show up, you can reinstall it or update it from the Microsoft website. You can go to the Microsoft website, either download the Microsoft software tool that will update your computer, or you can actually download the image file, put it on the USB thumb drive, and start the install from there. It will upgrade your computer. So these are ways that you can actually force it if you want. But I would suggest, unless it's really, really that there's nobody left and you still don't have it, wait. Especially if you're telling me, if, for example, if you had last week's Windows updates, that means your updates are working well. It means that your PC, because the way it's working right now is that if there's the 15% of people that still don't have it, means that they know that these 15% will probably have a glitch or a problem if they upgrade right now. So they're working on how to fix these glitches, then the update will come in. by themselves. So, but yeah, there are, of course, a few percent of people that have problems with the anniversary update. But no, it's not a wide issue, and it's really not a widespread issue. That is not true. A lot of people are actually saying, oh, well, there's widespread problems with anniversary update. No, not more than when people pass from 7 to 10 and 10 to 15.11 in November. And so, I don't know. There's a lot of the problems with the Windows updates, is so many computers have so many different updates and so many different hardware that it's very complex. There are some issues sometimes that are with a mix of things that are happening, and I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, for those that have problems, of course it's annoying, but really something. Samsung problems question coming from Albert. Not Albert Zappa. There's a Albert Zappa. This is a different Albert. It's Albert W. And Albert says that he has a few questions about the Samsung problems. He says, first of all, he's scared since the Galaxy Note problems and explosions. He is wondering if it's normal that his Galaxy S7 runs hot when playing games and runs hot when charging. Totally normal. And pretty much every phone does that. It's normal because when you're playing a game, you're actually maxing out the amount of, of the processor is running full speed. Everything's running full speed. The graphics is, full speed. So it's creating or generating a lot of heat. So it's normal that it's becoming quite hot to the touch. Also, you're playing, so you're often holding it, meaning that your hand is warming it up too. And so it's normal. And for charging, it's totally normal. The Galaxy S7 is one of those phones that has fast charge. Fast charge charges it very, very fast, but also means it's creating more heat. So don't worry about it. There's no report. I've seen one report of a Galaxy S7 that exploded somewhere. I'm not sure what to think about it. It seems to be extremely isolated issue, and I don't think there's a problem with the Galaxy S7. Mine works fine, and yes, it does come hot when I do some stuff, but it's okay. You're wondering if there are any other phones that would recalled or dangerous or recalled like the Galaxy Note. No, Galaxy Note 7 is the first phone that is recalled with such a huge problem. There were some issues, here and there with some phones, but there's, nothing that to note that is, as bad as the Note 7. And finally, you say washing machines. Why are they exploding? Well, I haven't read much about why they are exploding, but I would guess that maybe they're not well done. So basically, washing machines have moving parts. So when, for example, it starts really really spinning very, very fast, it probably breaks apart. I would say the exploding thing is probably that it's breaking apart when it's actually spinning too fast. And the last question that you have is, does Samsung know why the Note 7 exploded? Yeah, it's getting more and more official that the reason behind the explosions of the Note 7 is that they used the same battery of the Galaxy S7. So they wanted to have the same size battery. But the Galaxy S7 has a 3000 milliamp battery. The Note 7 was a 3500 milliamp battery. So basically, they took the same size, and they said, hey, we're going to pack a little more in it to have more energy, to have more runtime on the Note 7. And it seems that they've actually used very thin layers that are thinner than the layers in the battery of the Galaxy S7. And it was too thin, and it created some chemical reactions that made short circuits in the battery. So basically they tried something that didn't work out, using too much battery in the same little package. So and it seems that's the danger in what's happening. Hey, you're watching the Live Tech Show from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We are always here every Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2000 hours UTC. From Montreal, Quebec, Canada, we, of course, are answering your questions. If you like our show, Patreon, at patreon.com/radio and computers, you can pledge any amount. It will help us, of course. And, of course, you can get out of this anytime you want. So there's no catch, and it helps us continue on with what we do. PayPal donations at the Yahoo address that you see here, they are very much welcome. Thank yous for everybody that has donated. It's very, very appreciated. And, you know, think about it if I've ever helped you in any way, and you didn't have to call the tech guy, maybe. And, of course, I understand that some people can't, but thank you for everything. Okay, this is a new section that I'm adding now. Every week, because we have a chat room, I will be doing a little something. We'll ask one question, and we'll look at the answer in the chat room. So today's question, what brand of PC do you use? And we're going to check that out and tell what everybody's been using. So basically, my brand of PC is mostly, sorry guys, Toshiba. So if this is a Toshiba, the laptop that has the insider preview here is a Toshiba. Even the TV is a Toshiba. Two more Toshibas, and one is an HP, one is an Acer, and one is a Dell. So that's pretty much what I have, but I usually buy Toshiba computers. You know, it's one of my things. People sometimes have to ask me, you know, what brand should I buy a Toshiba because you got a Toshiba? It's like, no, it's something for me. You know, my Toshiba's always lasted a long time, so I'm kind of, you know, hung on Toshiba, but I wouldn't say no in buying any other brand, by the way. So what do we have here? So hello everybody, first of all. It's nice to have a chat room where everybody's talking and having fun and commenting on all the things that the different things that we're talking about in the show. So Stephen Mail's got a Dell, a Lenovo, and a Gateway. Christine Bowman has an HP. Josh K has a Dell. Then we have Jim Casaza, Sony Vaio T-Series Ultrabook. Cool. Bobby Burgess has a Samsung Chromebook. Albert Zappa, Toshiba, and MacBook Pro and iMac. Cool. Josh K has Dell. Carol T, custom built Gigabyte board with Corsair case. So that's custom built. That's nice. Some people do have, you know, there's still a market for that. I see it here. There's a small computer store not far from where I live, where I often go there. You know, it's like when I go there, everybody knows me because I just went there so much. And there's still a lot of people that like to have their own PCs built, basically custom built. Tim Robinson, home built, Gigabyte motherboard, AMD FX 8350 CPU, MSI graphics card, Corsair PSU, Kingston RAM. Cool. Albert Zappa says, never a problem with Toshibas. Yeah, well, I've never, but that said, I've fixed many Toshibas from clients. So there are, of course, some issues. But you know what? The issues aren't with the Toshibas necessarily themselves. I'd say most of the Toshibas, well, that I fixed were simply hard drive failures. And since often they use hard drives from other manufacturers, It's not necessarily Toshiba's fault, basically. That's for sure. Peter Sargent has a Toshiba satellite, so it's pretty cool. And Stephen Mel's got 2 Dells, 2 gateways, and 1 Lenovo. That's cool. 5 PCs. Patrick Manny, Dell XPS 8500, a Dell Optiplex 9010, a Dell Optiplex 790, a Dell Dimension 4600, and a Sony SVL 2412 CXB Vio. Cool. Tim says the wife is an Acer, and his insider machine is an HP desktop. Grapple Pearls has a Dell. Cool, that is nice. That is nice. And Tim likes satellite, Toshiba satellites, and he dislikes Apples. So, well, I got a MacBook. I'm not sure I'm going to buy a MacBook. I'm never going to buy another MacBook Pro, though. I think my Apple days are kind of over. I don't know. It's not because they're not good or anything. It's just, it's not my type, Oh, lappies. Sorry, I thought Apples. He dislikes laptops. I thought you had I thought you just, had a little problem writing it, and then it's like, okay. No, he doesn't like laptops. Some people don't, I have some clients that just want to have desktops, and that's it. They don't want to have laptops. They don't care about laptops or anything. Thank you, Josh K, saying thank you for your help. Good work. Thank you very much. It's fun. It's appreciated. Robert Redmond says HP, E-Machines, Packard Bell, IBM, main computer, custom build. Cool. Pretty cool. So, yeah, lappies, lap dancers. Yeah, kind of close. And, of course, future of this show, just wanted to talk a little bit more. This show will transform itself a little bit in the next few weeks, because one of the things I want to do is have a little more interaction with you guys in the chat room. It's one of the things that's fun. It's one of the major things also that people like in my radio channel. So, of course, having a chat room here will, of course, make it more fun. So we'll have more and more interaction with everybody. And that will be added from time to time. So that's, pretty cool. Yeah, I got, I'm about to get to your email from November the 10th, Stephen Mail. Where I will talk a bit, where Stephen Mail is updating ourselves all the time with his computer. You should write a book, Stephen. You should write a book, I can tell you. With so many things. And so many things you're trying to. It's pretty interesting. Adam Guardado has an HP. Thank you. And so, a little more interaction. I think it's going to be fun. And, of course, now, every week, this moment will be with a question for you. So, that's pretty cool. I think it's going to be fun. Okay. Before I get to Stephen Mail's email, I'm just going to answer a few questions from Stephen Coley. Stephen Coley says hello, and he's got a few questions about his Apple products. First of all, he's got an Apple iPad first generation, and now he understands that it's kind of almost impossible to do things. YouTube doesn't work anymore. He's wondering, what could he do with that one? Well, if you don't find it too heavy, that's what I did with my first generation Apple iPad. I've turned it simply into a ebook reader, and I think for that it works great. What I do is I download my books from my Dropbox. So I have books that I get from there's a lot of books that I get PDFs. There's a lot of books that I get EPUBs. I download them to my PC, put them on Dropbox, and then I just open them. Dropbox still works fine on the first generation. So, you could use the Apple iPad for that. You can still download older games and stuff, so it's not totally zero. When you check for an app, it might, not all of them, but some of them will say, oh, the new version doesn't work, but if you want, we can show you the old version that works for your device. So there's still a way to get some stuff on there. But yeah, I gotta say, it is one of those iPads that the more the time goes, the less things you can do with it. So unfortunately, that's the way it goes. So I don't know. Check out some way that you might actually find a use for it. Think about something it could be used, and you always use it for that and only that. But like I said, I've turned it into an e-reader basically. So basically, that's what I would do. You said that you got a MacBook Pro where the light flashes 3 times in the front, but it doesn't boot at all. That is RAM issue. MacBook Pros are quite easy to repair if you are not, if you're handy with a screwdriver. Turn it over, take the little screws out, and check out the RAM modules in it. They're easy to see. And there's some, like I believe in the middle front part when you have your MacBook upside down. And take one out. Try to start your MacBook to see if it does it 3 times. If you see that when one of them is out, it starts booting up again, then you've got the defective module. And for most MacBook Pros, a little tip and trick here, PC RAM works and costs half the price of the Apple RAM that they're going to sell you. So check it out. All you need to do is bring the little module with you into a PC shop and say you need memory like that. We're going to give you a module and it's going to work fine. And normally it's that. Except there's a series of MacBook Pros that were built around 2011 that have a flaw. And it's the controller, the main board's logic controller, that is an issue. It does create the same 3 light flashes that the MacBook memory module's fault does. But that, you don't know if it's that, because if you remove one, it flashes 3 times. You put it back, you remove the other, flashes 3 times. I don't think you have 2 defective memory modules. I've never seen that in any computer ever. I think it's your logic board. And if that is the case, think about buying another MacBook Pro, because a 5-year-old, 4-year-old MacBook Pro, most of the time they don't even have the parts to repair them anymore. And it costs dreadful amounts. And finally, you say that your iMac you've got an iMac 27-inch and it has vertical lines in the display. Yes, that is also a common issue with Apple iMacs. What I would suggest, if it's only 1 or 2 lines or 3 lines and you don't really mind, just leave it like that. And I'd say for 80% of people that have a few lines that appeared on the display, it stays like that for years and it doesn't really matter. If you see that the lines are appearing slowly, one after the other, every few days or weeks, then you have a problem. You'll have a display that's going to have a major issue soon. You can check it out. If it's not too old, check it out. Maybe you can have it repaired. But most of the lines that I see on the displays are simply that the iMac's screen is on the top and on the sides. They have these little connectors, and there's like hundreds of them that actually create all the connections for all the pixels on the screen. And typically it's the connections that kind of fail. And when one fails, it's like a full line, vertical line that will simply not work anymore. But if it's one or two and it's very thin, basically, it's expensive to fix. So you can maybe live with it if it doesn't change too much. So that's pretty much what's happening, and hope you enjoy. Question, and before we get to this one, well, it's not all Albert Zappa says is iMac is 27-inch iMac is 5 years old, still going strong. It's not all. It's it is a known problem, but I would say that it's I would believe it's a specific model constructed between a certain time period that has this issue, because it doesn't affect every iMacs. It affects only a very small portion of them. So you might actually have an iMac that is quite all right, basically. So basically, it should, especially for 5 years. I think Albert Zappa, I think it's gonna go quite all right. Okay, a few questions from our friend George that says, hello, I've seen a few of your videos where you seem to talk about how some countries have blocked certain websites and stuff like that. He says, for example, he saw my news report about Turkey blocking Twitter and Facebook. So the question he has is, how many countries in the world block content, and how do they block content, basically? So here's the thing. Most countries in the world already ban some content. Believe it or not, Canada does, United States does, the UK does. We would think that we have access to everything on the internet. No one does really. I know here, for example, that in Canada there were a few websites that were created that were like heinous websites against Jews and stuff like that. There's another one that was like a Nazi website that was completely crazy. Well, the Canadian government actually asked for some of these sites to be removed from being accessed in Canada. So the websites still exist. They're not removed from the internet. They're just inaccessible from Canada. So most countries do control what we see. Now, of course, most countries that are really open, like Canada, the United States, the UK, France, Germany, whatever, in general, give you access to pretty much everything. But you know what? That's the major issue of the internet, is how easy it is for any country in the world to block. We've seen Liberia a few months ago that actually blocked every internet website. There was no access to the internet anymore. So basically, it's easy. And you know what? Our governments have an on-off switch for the internet. And I gotta say, it's something that we need to think about and make sure that we try and keep it as free as possible. There are some laws that sometimes will get into place, and basically those laws will sometimes, not necessarily be applied correctly in how things are blocked. But basically, how they block this is, they will ask ISPs, or the main entrance of, most countries have one or two main entrance of the internet into their own country. From that place, you can actually block a lot of stuff. It's easier from there than to ask individual internet service providers to block stuff. So it's easy, and it makes it easier to switch it off. And of course, the ways that some of these websites and some of these companies are trying to fix that is by using encryption and privacy. A lot of websites, a lot of, like Facebook Messenger, for example, are trying to put encryption ahead and make sure that people can actually have conversations without anybody seeing or knowing what they do. So, it's sad because it's very easy to control the internet, unfortunately. Hey, you're watching the Live Tech Show number 53. We are Tuesday, November 15, 2016. helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com is where I answer some of the questions. Let's check out a few things here. We're going to go to Stephen Mail that has a little, his weekly rant on his PCs where he's going crazy. Stephen Mail says, as I write this email on my Windows Vista computer, several issues have occurred since last week. The Pale Moon browser on Windows 10 has been a huge mistake. It worked, except for the most important issue. Every time I would play a video, it would start, then the picture would freeze while the sound went on. All I ask is for a browser I can use that actually works with everything. Now I am using Mozilla Firefox except on my Vista computer, which I still use Pale Moon. I will wait a couple of weeks before uninstalling Pale Moon just in case. I have found a program, FVD Speed Dial, which can sync all bookmarks and speed dials on all browsers except Internet Explorer and Edge. This includes Chrome and Opera. Going back to Windows 8.1 on my Lenovo computer would be only a last resort, no choice option. Windows 10 is really Windows 8.1 with better options. I just wish Microsoft could work out these issues. This is one of those cases where I am glad I am no longer with the Insider program. Well, one of the things that's very important here is on the Insider program. The Insider program is known for issues. It's part of why an Insider program exists. But you've got an unusual amount of problems. I got to say that. I'm very curious. I would love to, go to your place and check each of your machines that you have problems with. I'd be very curious. I'd test so many things on these machines to see what could be going wrong. As I finish this email on my Lenovo computer, I wanted to thank you for the info on sticky notes. Yeah, some of the options, there are some options that actually work on the anniversary update. They're just a little more integrated into the anniversary options. So sticky notes is pretty cool. So it's pretty cool. And he has a screenshot of how things look on his PC, and wow, just incredible. But I'd love to check your PCs. Man, that would be interesting. You intrigue me a lot. And I got to say, I'm not sure Windows 10 is an issue. I think you have an issue somewhere else. With all that's happening, I think your issues are not in Microsoft side. It's something that is different. There's something not right, and it's intriguing. So we have our tablet winner that, of course, we congratulate once again that received the tablet. So he's pleasantly surprised on how new the tablet looks, enjoying it right now. Thank you both. Thanks to Tim for the tablet. And, of course, he's looking forward for the show. Mary Ellen Parker has an interesting rant here, and I'm going to put things straight here. Mary Ellen Parker has sent me an article of November 8th from The Verge about a Skype hack. And here is my take on it, because I have read your article. I have read The Verge. I have read a few things about this. And here is the thing. So she is now on the impression that her Microsoft account is not secure, because some folks have found out that their Skype has been hacked. And so a lot of people got surprised by that, and I do understand fully why and what's happening. And I'm going to tell you one thing. First of all, that issue is a Skype issue. The problem is with Skype only. So first of all, your Microsoft account, email for example, has nothing to do with it and is totally secure, and it's a separate issue. So your Microsoft account is safe. What's happening, and it is very interesting because I did test this because I am one of the few people that has Skype for a long time. So my Skype that I have, I used to have a Skype account because I am from Skype way before Microsoft has acquired Skype. So I had my Skype account. And when Microsoft bought Skype, they've made a lot of changes. And today, everybody that has a Microsoft account has a Skype account by default. And that's the way Microsoft works. Now, here's the thing. If you've never had a Skype account before, if you've never wanted a Skype account, this does not concern you at all. There's no issues with Skype. It is quite all right. You are safe. And your Skype account will require two-factor authentication if you are in a Microsoft account with two-factor authentication. The issue about Skype has to do with if you had Skype before Microsoft took over, like me, for example. What happens is that at the beginning, when they merged the accounts, the account was separate. So it means that, for example, if you are on Skype for a long time, you can try it. Go to Skype.com and you'll see that you'll be logged in for most part with your Microsoft account if you have one. But if you log out and you try logging into your account with your old username and password from Skype, it works. But what it will do, it's going to tell you, and that's what I did today, it's that once you try to do that, it's going to say, you need to merge with a Microsoft account. You still keep your old username, but it's just that now you'll be using your Microsoft account to do so. Now, what is the problem here? No, there's no security issues in Skype. No, there is no problem with Skype being hacked at all. There's no Microsoft issue here. The problem is that some people that had the old Skype accounts were using a password they've used somewhere else that was hacked. So for example, I was using on Skype, that old Skype, the same password that I was using in Yahoo when it got hacked in 2012. And so technically I was at risk because it means they could have used Skype from that account. So the problem isn't that there's a security issue at Microsoft. There's none at all. And Microsoft doesn't have really a problem here. It's that everybody that got hacked in Skype with the old Skype got simply hacked because they had either a bad password or the password was used somewhere else where that was hacked. So bad guys knew the password to get into your account. So there's no going into your account by some security flaw or anything. It's not at all like that. You can easily fix that. If you've got an old account of Skype, log into it to Skype.com. It's going to immediately tell you You've got to convert it to a Microsoft account. Click yes. Once you've done that, problems are over. Problems are over. Because at that point, you've just changed your login to your Outlook or Hotmail address. Sorry. And password that you use for your Microsoft account. And if you have two-factor authentication, it now is two-factor authentication on your Skype account also. So that's all that's happening. It's just that because it was a very interesting article, and I did read it very well because, of course, with its title, the first thing is, okay, people are getting hacked into their Skype accounts, and usually The Verge has quite, interesting stories that are pretty much verified. But I also double verified and read a lot on it because I wanted to give the correct version. And one of the things that I hate about news sometimes is that they hype the problems to a point where it seems like there's some kind of issue. Well, there's not really an issue. So if you've got a Skype and you've got your Microsoft account, there's no issue at all. Don't worry, your accounts are very safe. So once again, the only persons that are at risk is if you had an old Skype account before Microsoft bought Skype, and that you were using the same password on some other websites. So in my case, yes, I was at risk with that old Skype account, and I didn't know that you could log in with that old Skype account in the new way, in the new, in the same interface as you're logging in with your Microsoft account. I was surprised. I thought that was gone, personally. And today I learned, no, it's not. And thanks for the email, because actually it let me view that problem, and it's actually going to make, I'm actually going to make a video explaining it and showing how to fix the issue if for someone it's an issue. But if you've been on Skype in the last, year, and of course you've been on Skype through the Microsoft account, you don't have any issues. There's no security issues. And now that I've transferred that old account into the Microsoft account side, every time I go into Skype from another computer, and I have tested it, I need to authenticate it with the Microsoft app on my phone, because that's the way I log in with two-factor. So, thanks in a way, because it made me realize, first you made me realize that I was at risk, because I didn't know that you could still log in with the old stuff. And you made me realize that, okay, some other people might have issues because of that. And it's where we see that we need to use different passwords everywhere and be careful. But you know what? If somebody that has an old Skype account never used this password anywhere else and has a really good password, chances are pretty slim that you'll be hacked into, because they don't have the info. All the info I've seen is that some hacker somewhere found the password. So there's no security issue at Microsoft. The only thing, okay, that I would maybe say about Microsoft's side of the things, they should have made sure that if you had two-factor authentication, that it applied even to the old account. But it's very complex. You know why? Because from what I've seen, the real complex thing that Microsoft has here is that they've created a parallel Skype thing. Old account, new account. And, of course, on the new account, two-factor authentication is there. But since the old account is kind of a second account or a different account, it doesn't apply to the first one. It's very complex. It's something that Microsoft itself probably is aware of and doesn't know how to deal with it in doing that. And I think they are dealing with it only with the fact that if you do log in with the old stuff, then it tells you, oh, you got to transfer this to the new Microsoft account side. So, yeah. I understand. You know what? Also, one thing that you made me notice, we were talking when I talked about how to unlink your account. I noticed that I unlinked my old account. And I actually noticed that when it's linked as a Microsoft account, like now, it gives me the same error message that everybody has that, well, you can't do it. So now that I've transferred it to the new stuff, I can't. And I don't know. I'm wondering if Microsoft doesn't want you to remove or change that. So it gave me an idea also of checking out, well, if I can't unlink it, is there a way to just, and that's what I'll be checking into. Is there a way to simply go into that account and say, make sure that I'm always offline when I'm in my Microsoft account so that people on the Skype side can see that I'm here. So basically, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be checking, instead of unlinking, I'll be trying to find a way that you might just have it always offline somehow, so that nobody sees, even if it's there, nobody can see that you're online for some reason. So that's my next step that I'll be checking for and making a video. So, but thanks. You know what? And you made me learn a lot of things about Skype accounts today. Things that I was not sure. And I read the Verge article and your email 4 times, 5 times. I've looked into some other articles that I've seen because now you piqued my curiosity when I started reading there, and to make me understand exactly what was wrong, and not to jump to a conclusion that's not exactly that thing. Okay, Albert Zappa has in an email says, I don't know why, but every speed test I take on the internet, my wireless is always the same as wired. Is there a reason for that, or should I just be happy about this? I have 50 megabits per second Time Warner. Well, that's normal because internet speeds are usually always lower than the maximum speed of Wi-Fi. So normally you should always be, because your internet is at 50 megabits per second, your Wi-Fi, if you have an N router, for example, is connected faster than that. So it's normal that you have the same speed. Actually, if you did not have the same speed, I'd change your router. It's too old because you would probably have an issue. So it's quite all right, and be happy, and it's totally normal. Some people have the impression that on Wi-Fi the internet is slower, and it's not, because the Wi-Fi connection most of the times, for example, I'm on 60 megabits per second. If I go here and look at my network, well, now I'm plugged in with a wire, which is not a good idea. But if I look at the network connection on Wi-Fi, I'm usually at about 130 megabits per second connected. So as long as my internet connection is slower than 130 megabits per second, I'm always full speed, and I will be at the same speed on Ethernet and on Wi-Fi for internet. Where the difference that you would see is if you have 2 computers and you plug them Ethernet, then you have both computers Wi-Fi, and you transfer 1 gigabyte file from one machine to the other. Now you'll see that Ethernet is much faster than Wi-Fi. Carol T has a question. Gilles, my DSL router is from CenturyLink and they provide a password on the bottom of the unit. Would it be a good idea to change the password again so something I choose? I looked online for the default password for my modem, but I did not find one listed. CenturyLink goes as far as to say that changing the password is not required. The answer to that is not necessarily a problem. Most of the companies that provide a DSL router, usually it's a modem/router in the same unit, have a unique password for each device. So changing it is not necessarily something you need to do. The reason they're not giving you the password to log into the modem is they don't want you to play around with settings. That said, you know what? You can try for admin if it asks for a login, or admin and leave the password blank, or admin and default. These are the three most common ones. Most modems that I've seen from ISPs are actually at default on their password. It's just that you need to know what password it is. But, you know, I wouldn't worry too much. Do you need to change it? I don't think so. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. And what else? TubeBuddy plug for Chrome. I installed TubeBuddy last night, the Chrome plugin. I haven't played with it yet. Do you use it? And if so, what does it offer other than shortcuts to the tools available to anyone with a YouTube channel? You know what? I've seen that thing. I've never used it, so I can't really say anything. But you know what? I'm going to install it in my Chrome browser, and I'll get back to you at what I think of that. Because I've not used that tool at all. I've not used it at all, so I don't know. I don't know if it offers more, for sure. So, you know, well, 130 megabits per second is only on the connection with my router. My internet connection itself is 60 megabits per second, and I have 10 megabits up, which is nice because before it was 10 megabits up, it was dreadfully slow to install or to upload videos on YouTube. But my internet speed, because 130 megabits per second is only the link between my network card and my router. So, but the internet speed itself is 60 megabits per second. Grateful Pearl says, every time you sign into Outlook Mail, it resigns you right back into Skype. Yeah. One thing, though, I did notice this morning, it didn't log me. It was, yes, Skype was part of my options in my Outlook Mail account, but I was under the impressions that if I didn't, that I actually logged in when I started playing with it, and that I was not logged into Skype before I played with it this morning. So I don't know. I'll be checking that out and see if there's something that we can do here. I don't know. What else do we have here? No, there's no real. There actually, the up-down speeds depend on the internet service provider itself. By providing an up speed that is much slower, what's happening is that, you know, they make sure that you can max the download speed a lot. You know, because, for example, it comes from the time, you know, when the first high-speed internet connections arrived, usually we had 1 megabit download, but we had only about, you know, 56K upload, which is like the speed of the old modems. And the reason for that is that in most uses, 90% of the people download more than they upload. typically when you click a link, you're not really uploading much. You're just sending a little bit of data saying, hey, I clicked there, I want to see this article. The big chunk is what you download. So they've created the asymmetric internet because you can, there's just such space. So for example, if the internet, the cable that comes to your home has this space for the internet in it, well, if you put half and half, that means that your speed is halved for download because the other half is used for upload. But by doing a 10-to-1, for example, say you've got 10 megabits down, 1 megabit up, that speed means that with 1 megabit that you use, you're still keeping the majority of the bandwidth for the downside, which is what you want to have the fastest for most people. The thing is, some users need upload speeds that are better. For example, my uploading of videos, my live shows. So that is something that needs a lot of upload. I am a user that is not the typical internet user from my internet service provider. The typical user downloads a lot, doesn't send up a lot. I download a lot, but I upload a lot also. So I need something with a little more speed. When I started to do some YouTube videos, I was on a 10 megabit down, 1 megabit up connection. Uploading YouTube videos was dreadfully slow. So that's actually when I called the internet service provider and said, look, I need more speed than that. What do you have that has actually a good upload speed? And that's when they proposed to me back maybe 3 or 4 years ago, oh, well, we have a connection that is 30 down, 10 up. And I had taken that back then. Then at some point they called me up and they said, hey, we have an offer for you. We'll jump you to 60 down and 10 up. I would have enjoyed if they said 60 down, 20 up. I would have enjoyed that upside, that up speed to be faster. But, I can live with 10 megabits up. And there's a point where probably uploading to YouTube doesn't go any faster anyways. But, for now, it's exactly correct. It's what I find okay for now. I can tell you that. So, so what else do we have here? When I downloaded Roblox on Windows 10 Store, it worked, but when I reinstalled it, never works, keeps crashing. There are some issues with some apps sometimes. Don't know what to say with that. Maybe you would need to. Is it on the same computer? Did you do any changes? Did you reformat? I don't know. There are some things that sometimes happen. I can tell you, but it might be that there's some old data. If it's the same PC, there could be some old data from that app still on your hard drive that are kind of creating some kind of an issue with the game itself. Well, Stephen Mill says he pays for 20, gets 16 plugged in, Wi-Fi about 9 to 10, up 0.75. Yeah, that's slower. DSL usually has a very, very, very big difference in up and down speeds. The DSL is probably the one that will have the biggest difference in up and down because DSL bandwidth is much smaller than cable bandwidth or a fiber bandwidth. So that's why your up is very, very slow at 0.75. But then again, it might be okay if you just download stuff. If you're watching videos, it doesn't really send a lot of data up. It's mostly download stuff. So, Don't know what to say, my friend, about that game. Have you tried? Have you tried searching on the web about that particular game or that particular app? Well, pop-up depends what you pop-up you have. They open new windows. Well, you might be infected, my friend. You better check that out. You might be infected with something. It also depends on where you're going. You can, of course, add a AdBlock Plus add-on. If you go in Chrome, you can install AdBlock Plus. But if you still have pop-ups that open windows, you're infected. You're infected with something. That is very, very common. People think, oh, well, no, I'm not infected. I just have pop-ups. A lot of the pop-ups are sometimes, infections on your PC. And check that out. Well, you need to scan your computer. You need to scan your computer with Malwarebytes, which is one of the tools that you can check. This is incredible. For those, somebody asked me the other day, and yes, there's an issue with the insider preview right now. Look at that. While I'm doing the show, settings opened randomly. My movies and TV app opened. What else do we have? The store opened, and that's it. So while I was doing the show, 4 apps opened randomly. This is amazing. So that's just the insider preview. So that for anybody that's on the latest insider preview 14.965, don't worry. Yes, apps open randomly. It's an own issue. I've actually also sent feedback. No, it's not infection. This is an insider machine, which is running a beta software. It's running an insider preview of Windows 10, which is a special version, and it has a bug in it that randomly opens different windows. So it's just amazing. So apart from that, and yes, somebody asked me a little earlier before the show if there was going to be an insider preview today. Nope, no insider previews today. Donna Sarkar did mention that there were no insider previews for today. So we're still at 14.965 right now. So scan your computer with Malwarebytes, my friend. Malwarebytes.org is the place to go. And scan your computer with that. It will be checking out. There is no Windows 11. It does not exist and will apparently never exist, as there aren't any other. Windows is at its last version right now. So we're just getting some updates, like anniversary updates and stuff like that. So the Windows 10 is actually being being updated with new features and stuff like that, but it stays Windows 10 and will stay Windows 10. And of course, if we look here, this is my insider machine. I'm at 14.965 right now. So this is my insider machine that I'm using right now. And it's a nice build, except for the fact that it has these weird pop-up issues from time to time from the settings and stuff like that. But apart from that, seems to work quite all right. So pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know when they will be calling it just Windows. No indication yet. I do think it's eventually going to happen. But for now, it's, I wouldn't be surprised if Windows 10, maybe it's going to happen probably in one of the major updates. And, I wouldn't be surprised that at some point we get a major update and poof, the number 10 is gone. Still, Windows 10 is a brand, so maybe they want to keep it also. And is Windows 7 better than Windows 10? You know what? No, Windows 10 is not a tweak to Windows 7 at all. It's a brand new, completely rewritten Windows version. It has nothing to do with Windows 10, Windows 7, and has many new features. I think Windows 10 is the best operating system of Windows. I think it is better than Windows 7. It is my own take on it. I know some people are going to send me hate mail because of that. But you know what? If you're happy in Windows 7, I don't really, see why people should change their versions of Windows. If you're working with Windows 7 and it's great, stay there. It's all right. There's no need to really, upgrade and make sure that you're upgraded, basically. But it's a great. I like it. I really like it. Yeah, well, one of the biggest, Patrick Manny says they should get rid of Home and other editions and just have Pro. One of the biggest issues that Microsoft, where people were always ranting, every time there was a new version of Windows, most people always went crazy to the fact that there were so many different versions. I am for, yes, there should be, I think having a unified Windows version, just one version, would probably be a great idea, at the worst, at least have two versions, not 30,000 versions. And that's the biggest problem with Microsoft. There's always too many versions of Windows. As for Pro versus Home, you know what? Pro doesn't offer that much difference with Home. It offers mostly tools for encryption and tools for networking. And of course, it has a little bit of more of tools that mostly experts used. For most people, it's unnecessary to have the Pro version. A lot of people think the Pro version is better than the Home version. And for the core of Windows itself, it's exactly the same thing. So it's not better, but it does have more tools, yes. But, I can tell you, you know what? Great Old Purse says, during the show I have gotten 9 emails from Microsoft community on resurgence of spam emails. You know what? I don't have any any spam in my Outlook, except in the spam folder, which I never go look inside. So I don't find an issue with Outlook. And one of the things you got to be careful with spam is that, spam is often dependent on what you do with your email. And when you email a lot, you usually have more spam. The filters, as long as it goes into the spam filter, that's the thing. I did not know that Indy Tobin is a great guitar player. I need to check that out. When will my guitar family get to play us out on the show? Eventually. But one of the things that is happening is that every email has a lot of spam. I get spam on Google. If I look at my Gmails, there's a lot of spam in Gmail in the spam folder. Every account has spam. It all goes to the spam folder. The important thing is it goes to the spam folder. An account with no spam doesn't exist. There's always spam. 90% of all emails sent around the world are spam. Think about that. All the emails sent every day, 90% are spam. So there's a lot of stuff. So now we're waiting on the smooth sounds of Gilles at Montreal. We'll see. One day I'll do a little special and do a little something. I'm not used to playing guitar in front of people, so I used to a little bit, but I'm kind of a little guitar shy. I'm guitar shy. That's what I'm gonna say. And nice to see everybody here. What else do we have here? Yeah, if you can't update, I don't know. There could be a problem, but you might want to make sure you're in administrator. To have a Windows 10 administrator account, you need to create it in the Ripple Pearl says guitar players are sexy. Oh man. Hey 1990 Sunbird, nice to have you on board. Forgot to say hi a little earlier, I'm sorry. I was in my little stuff here of computers and via email. I just got an email from another Tommy, but not Tommy or Viper the Bookman friend, but another Tommy. He says that he's been watching the show today, finds it really, really interesting. And a question that he has is about his internet connection dropping regularly. He says that he's on a cable connection and that at least twice a day his connection drops, and for about an hour he doesn't have any internet, and then it comes back. So he's wondering what to check for, what could be happening. The best indication of your internet dropping is your modem. So your cable modem has little lights on it. Make sure that the lights for the connections are on. Make sure, when it works fine, take note of what the lights look like. And when it doesn't, look at the same lights. Did something change? Maybe you're losing your connection at the cable side. You should check out with your internet service provider. They have a log of all the logins and the logouts of your modem. So they know when there's a problem because they see the disconnects of your modem all the time. If they say everything's fine on their side, make sure that if you're connected with an Ethernet cable, make sure your cable's all right. Sometimes, with time, especially Ethernet cable, if they're in places where they bend a lot, it could be a problem and could break the cable itself. Maybe try another cable. If you're on Wi-Fi, one of the common things that a lot of people have in internet cutouts is cordless phones. The funniest thing is that so many of my clients that had problems with Wi-Fi, I ask them always, do you have a cordless phone? And if you have a 2.4 gigahertz cordless phone, make sure that you check it out. Unplug your phone from the wall socket, the power of the phone, while you are using the internet. If everything's coming back to normal, it could be that your cordless phone is sending out a signal on the same frequency as your internet, your Wi-Fi, your router, and that means that it's simply blocking the signal. That's something that's common. But start by checking out at the internet service providers, and maybe you have some kind of glitch on the connection itself. Check it out. That's very common, that you lose connection and basically, that often that's often an issue. So check out the internet connection with your internet service provider first, and make sure everything's all right. Unplug, replug the cable modem, stuff like that. I used to have one that was so weird. When I was on DSL, I used to have the internet cut out every night at 8 p.m. And I'm not joking, it was extremely precise. At 8 p.m. every night it would cut out. But I would see that the DSL link, which is usually a solid light, would start blinking. That would mean, oh, it lost sync with the digital subscriber line. And it did that. I called at least 4 or 5 times. They could see that the modem was disconnecting. And what fixed it is one guy, when I called him, he looked at the log and he said, wow, you called here so many times for that. He sent me a new modem and it was fixed. So sometimes it could be the modem. Modems age and sometimes they need replacement. Yeah, on internet radios, it's a little, it's normal that there's some, that there are some cutouts, because a lot of the streams that are sent online are not always perfect. So depending on what stream you're listening to, I got a Sangean WFR20 internet radio here. And some streams are extremely solid, but there are streams that sometimes cut out. It's part of the game, especially when you're listening to stations from far away. The stream can cut out at some point somewhere on the internet. You remember that when you're listening, it's like watching me. If you're far away, like you guys in Europe, just think about it. The HD videos getting out from here in Montreal, Canada, and is going through all sorts of little detours to just get into your computer. So in between both connections, there could be some glitches sometimes, and there'll be a freeze, or there's going to be there'll be buffering. So from time to time, it might buffer, stuff like that. Here I have an indication just above the chat room. I got a green bar that can become yellow or red. It tells me the quality of the stream as taken at YouTube, where they are streaming the stuff that I'm doing right now. I also have another indication, is that on the top of my Wirecast Play program, it tells me how much megabits per second I'm sending out. So if it's below 3 megabits per second, I know that stream is not right. But if it's more than 3 and preferably above 4 megabits per second, I know that I'm okay in sending out all the data and all this stuff. So yeah, here's some inspiration. I do sing a lot at the karaoke. That's something I love to do. So everybody found it funny because on my Facebook page I actually sang a song which I changed the words because I was looking at Paul the cat. So I changed the words so they would fit with a cat instead of fit, with what the song was about. And everybody just found it extremely funny. So I promise someday I'll do a little something. Anybody else has a little question or something before we start to wrap up the show? It's always fun to have everybody here. What else do we have here? So, Through email, we have Frank saying, "Oh, you love karaoke?" Yep, I do. It's something that I am. There's a karaoke bar at 5 minutes from my walk from where I live, and it's actually owned by a friend of mine, and it's not only close, but it's one of the best karaoke bars in town, if not in Canada. And I found myself a real passion for singing. I actually love singing, and that's what I do regularly. David Bowie, yeah. Oh, my tribute to David Bowie on YouTube. Yeah, with Paul the Cat. I remember holding Paul the Cat. My David Bowie tribute. That was nice. That was nice. I was so sad at David Bowie. First time that I shed a tear for an artist, I gotta say. I remember I was going to a grocery to get groceries, and it was a nice sunny day. And suddenly in my my earphones, I started hearing Space Oddity. And boy, I don't know. I just had a little a little tear. Tim says I can sing, but I sound like a goose farting in the fog. That I'd like to hear. A goose farting in the fog. That's interesting. Where are you going exactly to hear those things, Tim? So, hey everybody, I'm going to say bye-bye as it's quieting down here. Thanks once again for all of you being here. Without you guys and girls, there would be no show. It's always fun to, have everybody here. Grateful First, did you know that the song Killing Me Softly was written about a cat by Roberta Flack? True story. Now you will have to go back and listen to the lyrics again. Yes, I will. I can tell you I will. For sure. I didn't know, though, that Killing Me Softly was about a cat. Well. Huh. Really? That's interesting. Okay. I will be listening to that for sure and checking at the lyrics. I can tell you that. Well, yeah, for those that are on my radio stuff, there's 2 radio shows coming up this weekend. The wideband listening hangout, not listening, but the wideband show where we talk about police scanners, VHF, UHF stuff, and basically anything about a radio. That's Friday at 2000 hours UTC. That's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, North America. Also, Saturday, I have my shortwave radio show where we're going to talk about shortwave radio in general. And that's also at 2000 hours UTC, 3 p.m. Saturday. So for those that will basically be the 2 next shows coming up. And yeah, it's always fun. I like the fact that all you guys are on the chat room. It's always fun, and it's pretty cool. So it makes it nice to have everybody here. So thanks again, everybody. Thanks for being here, and $50 to PayPal if I do a shortwave show today. That is tempting. I will take it relax for the rest of the day. Sometimes I do have, I haven't done that in a long time. I used to have, shows that would pop up here and there. Maybe I should do that on the Windows channel also, like a unannounced show someday or something. it's something that is that I used to do a lot, and basically maybe I should do it a little more. Unannounced live shows here and there, and have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun making these shows for sure. So take care, everybody. It was nice to have everybody on board. Don't forget that you can send your questions to helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. And of course, there's a chat room. There's interaction now. It's pretty cool. Hope everybody enjoyed our today's show. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Take care, all. See you next week, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2000 hours Universal Time, for our live tech show and other questions that we will answer. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice week.